All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions, retro pay-per-view series where we're going over SummerSlam 1992. I'm your host, Mike.
And I'm Frank. Everybody, welcome. This one, this was something different for SummerSlam. Unlike WrestleMania 6, where they went across the border to Toronto, they actually went overseas to Wembley Stadium, which is something that was never really done before. You know, Vince tried something new, and it paid off with almost 81,000 fans in attendance. It was live August 29th, 1992, but actually aired on the 31st, 2 days later, because of the time difference.
They actually had the results in the papers. I remember.
Yeah, like you and I had discussed. I remember seeing it during the night. It could have been. I thought it was live, probably the replay. I don't. 30 years ago, don't really remember all that much. I do remember it being in the paper, and I tried not to look at it.
Yeah, I didn't look at the results. I waited for the pay-per-view that Sunday night to watch it.
So, and there was two matches here that were impromptu. Really, they had to change them last minute. I'll get to those in a minute. Three dark matches. We don't need to get into those. Although one was during the pay-per-view. That, to me, I thought was weird, but whatever. In any event, let's get to it. The opening match of the night, Legion of Doom versus Money Incorporated. I mean, it started, you remember Rocco was on the bike, and I didn't like the dummy idea. I know Hawk didn't like the dummy idea.
Yeah,
I remember Heenan saying the dummy's driving the bike.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought he was talking about Ellering or Rocco. Could have been both. I mean, they had the long entranceway, so the motorcycles was kind of cool.
Yeah, that looked cool. The gold shoulder pads too.
The gold shoulder pads.
Yeah.
The one time DiBiase wore white in a pay-per-view on his trunks. Never wore that before.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was cool. I mean, this match could have been better. We were supposed to see this at WrestleMania. It would have been also cool if this was a tag title match. This was Legion of Doom's last pay-per-view match.
And they got punished. They were the opening match because they were being punished.
All of 1992, There was downhill for them after the Rumble. I mean, it really was. Because then the match that may or may not happened against Money Inc., putting them together, and them being stripped of the tag team titles.
Nobody knows if that match really took place.
Still to this day, I can't find it on YouTube. There's
no footage. There's no pictures of it.
No.
Nobody knows.
This is like that Pat Patterson IC title tournament in Rio.
Yeah, nobody knows if this really happened or it didn't.
And I thought it was weird as a kid watching Superstars, and they said that Ted DiBiase and IRS are the tag team champions known as Money Inc. And I'm like, they weren't a tag team.
They just
threw two guys together, which actually worked because I liked
No, it did. Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
And I was like, Ted DiBiase's not a tag team wrestler, but I guess at that time his health was declining. He needed to be in a tag team. IRS needed something to do. I just thought it was weird that they didn't pick the Natural Disasters or the Nasty Boys or somebody that the LOD was feuding with. It's just they threw two guys together. And like you said, no footage whatsoever. It's just overnight it happened. So the match was pretty decent. 15-minute, 10-second. Legion of Doom gets their revenge on the imaginary match against Money Inc. And we wouldn't see them again for another 5 years, 4.5 years, something like that.
In WWE,
Yeah, they went back to WCW eventually. So, I mean, fairly decent match. Wasn't there something, you were telling me this yesterday, I think it was, something about the motorcycle.
Oh, yeah, and Hawk got too close because Hawk was probably inebriated, or whatever. He gets too close to Animal on the motorcycle, and he burns his leg when Animal gets off the motorcycle. It burns him. Animal spoke about this in an interview. He mentioned it.
I'm surprised he didn't fall off the bike.
Yeah, you can kind of see him. You can kind of see him limp too when he's getting off the bike.
Yeah, I went back in and I watched that one brief thing, and you can. And
when he initially gets off,
like he's walking like the Undertaker did with the hip injury. Yeah, you can see it a little bit, but not during the match. He was fine.
No.
So from there, now we go to This was a replacement match. I'll call it. It was Nails versus Virgil. Now it was supposed to be Big Boss Man versus Nails, but Boss Man did have an actual injury where they did the storyline where Nails beat him senseless and he was out. So they replaced him with none other than Virgil. Why couldn't it have been somebody else? I don't know.
This is the beginning of Virgil being thrown in there he's being fed to.
He took Tito Santana's job.
he'll be fed to the monster heels to get them over.
Yeah, used to be Tito that did that. Now
because later on, Yokozuna whips his ass.
Oh my god, that match! That Survivor Series was just.
I don't know if does Ludwig Borger whip his ass too. I don't remember if he whipped Virgil's ass. He probably did.
On a Monday Night Raw, he did.
Yeah, there you go.
They did fight on Raw when he first started.
So there you go. This is the process of him being like.
At the next SummerSlam, Ludwig squashes somebody. I'll get to that when we do that review. Unfortunately, it's one of my favorites.
Poor Virgil.
It is because he had no offense in this, and to be quite honest, I'm sorry, but Nails wrestles like shit. I mean, all he was doing was choking him out. I mean, this guy had no wrestling skills.
Which he later used that finishing chokehold on Vince McMahon, and that's why he got fired. So
I don't even know why Vince brought him in. Maybe we should do an episode one day entitled "What Was Vince Thinking?" And we might be here a while. But some of these guys that he brings in, I don't know what he saw. Like unless you see WWE champion when you think of this gimmick, if you don't see that, don't do it.
I thought he was a one-off just to deal with Boss Man, but then he kind of started a feud with Undertaker later on that fall.
Yeah,
and he was supposed to go into a program with the Warrior, I think, too, because they did have a match somewhere, house show, something like that. But and then he gets fired. So I don't know what the long-term plans were Nails were. I don't have no idea. But.
And I'll get to Undertaker and his match in a minute. But I really thought he was being misused at this point. Not so much held back or held down, but just misused in some of these matches he was getting. Because some of them just didn't make sense for him. You know, he was WWE champion, and then all of a sudden, as 92 is going, it's just almost like forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into 93, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand that. So anyway, 3 minutes, 55 seconds. Virgil wins. No, just kidding. It was Nails. Virgil's not going to win another pay-per-view match, believe me. From there now, we go to another match that Vince was kind of hoping it would have been something else, but we didn't get that. He thought it was possible that they could do the Marty Genetti versus Shawn Michaels match at SummerSlam. But old Marty was under house arrest. So they did the storyline with Shawn Michaels and Rick Martel over the affection of Sherry.
Yeah.
And the stipulation, don't hit them in the face. Which, if you look during the match, it was a couple minutes in, they were hitting each other in the face. So
I think they slapped each other, but they didn't close fist.
Not until the double count out, and then they were.
Then all bets were off. I mean, look, I thought it was funny. It was what it was. I mean, you look, like I said before, Shawn Michaels caliber wrestler he was, and also Rick Martel was a good wrestler. It's kind of a stupid match to throw those two guys in that talented, but Shawn Michaels was still on his early singles run. So it was like a it was okay. You never really saw a heel versus heel, so it was something different. I understood what they were trying to do.
And by this point, Shawn Michaels, on his documentary, had said by this point he felt like he was getting stale because the high hopes that they promised him when he turned heel in January, he felt like he was stalled out by this point, and he had gone to Vince and going, all right, what's the deal? And then all of a sudden he got a resurgence with facing Bulldog and becoming the Intercontinental Champion. But by this point, I really also thought that, okay, you had this huge up and coming heel that you made him. And Rick Martel has always been a great heel and a great wrestler. I always liked his style. And you got the two of them in there. And I don't know. It just felt like a throwaway because there was
it kind of was, but it was
a double count out. It was more amusing with Sherry passing out.
Right, Sherry. Well, she comes in with the mirror. She's also singing and she's singing the theme song too. This is before Shawn started singing the theme song by himself. Which I like the Sherry theme song. I think it's hilarious.
And she's missing half her outfit in the back.
Yeah, her ass is hanging out, and then she passes out. That was funny when she throws herself on the floor, and she rolls out, and Bobby Heenan's like, I know about women passing out. It's ridiculous.
He's like, and give her that mouth without resolution.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up, passes out again. Now you got to like how Martel's carrying her the proper way, but Shawn Michaels throws her over the shoulder. And then Martel comes back at the water. Now the crowd is into this because they want to see Scary Sherry get the water, and she did. And she's over there screaming. I mean, she was always good for the business.
But then he punched it. Was it before that he punched Martel punched him?
Yeah, it was outside the ring. Yeah. He did.
He could have killed her. So
I mean, that part of the match I did like.
It was funny.
Sherry get involved. She was always, like I said, she was always good for the business.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever she was in the corner of, DiBiase, it really didn't was the only one to me that he didn't need her. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But everybody else she was with, Savage especially, Shawn Michaels, it was always awesome. And then it was sad to see her go the following year, but she went to WCW and then she became awesome as Sister Sherry with Harlem Heat. So now we go to a WWE tag title match that on paper you go, all right, this is 2 minutes easy. It was the Natural Disasters defending the tag titles against the Beverly Brothers, which I've said before, I really think this should have been the Nasty Boys, considering they won the number one contender spot by beating Savage and Warrior on, what was it, main event? So Saturday night main event?
No, I think it was
prime time.
Prime time.
Yeah.
Prime time, yeah.
So I really thought it should have been them. Instead, the Nasty Boys were involved in a 6-man tag team dark match, which I won't get into. The Beverly Brothers kind of held their own here, but I didn't enjoy it, I guess, because realistically, they should have been squashed.
They had no business getting a title shot.
No, they didn't, because they didn't beat anybody.
No, the Beverly Brothers were trash. Nobody even remembers them. Like,
No.
unless you're a hardcore wrestling fan,
you wouldn't know that. Well, we got them from AWA.
Oh, they're
Mike Enos was one of them, and if anybody doesn't know Mike Enos, he was in that match where Scott Hall made his appearance for the NWO in 1996 in WCW.
Yeah, he was in the middle of the ring.
But I mean, those two guys weren't even paired together in AWA, so they kind of put them together here. They had the good look, but I didn't see them as tag team title contenders, especially this quick. I mean, they weren't even there a year. They hadn't really beat anybody.
They should have never gotten a title shot ever in the history of.
Well, if the Bushwhackers can get one, surely they could. And the Bushwhackers had gotten a few.
But the Bushwhackers were actually over.
Yeah.
I mean, they were silly. They were silly, but they were over.
The Beverly Brothers were booed, and wrestlers have said this in the past in interviews. If you love them, if you cheer them or you boo them, they're doing their job. If you don't do anything at all,
yeah, but there's two types of heat. There's heat because you're doing such a great job at making people hate you, and then there's heat that you're getting booed because nobody cares about you and they don't want to see you, and that's the Beverly Brothers heat. that's
probably
the difference.
Right. Yeah, you're probably right.
Sorry, Beverly Brothers fans out there, all two of you.
What, the two each?
The same Jeff Jarrett fans. I don't know
They're
who has
together.
more. It might be a debate as who has more.
Maybe we should do a poll and see who gets more fans.
Jeff Jarrett. It's me close.
Yeah, it'd be 1% to 0.5%.
Yeah.
In any event, 10 minutes, 30 seconds, which is probably 5 minutes longer than this match really should have gone. Natural Disasters win the tag titles. And like you had said once before, they lost some of their, not juice, not momentum, but maybe their spark, I guess, or something when they turned fan favorites.
Yeah, I never liked them as
They were just smiling too much.
No, Earthquake was a great heel, and Tugboat, who becomes Typhoon, that was the resurrection of his career.
Exactly, because he was going nowhere.
He was going straight down the toilet, and when they made him Typhoon, he was actually believable as a heel.
And I liked them together as a heel team.
No, they were. They were a great tag team. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't get because then once they turned them fan favorite, after they lost the tag titles back to Money Incorporated, they eventually split up. Typhoon leaves and makes an embarrassment of himself in WCW, and Earthquake sticks around to lose to Yokozuna. Then he tried to resurrect his career a year later at WrestleMania 10, and that didn't go anywhere because really, that point, you still needed Typhoon.
Didn't Earthquake beat Yokozuna in a sumo match on Monday Night Raw at some point?
Yeah, it was actually a shock to me because Yoko had such the high momentum, and then but like you had told me once before, and I had actually forgotten this because it was so long ago that John Tenta, Earthquake, was a sumo wrestler in Japan.
Yeah, legit.
Was actually undefeated. He was pretty good at it. So, he did beat Yokozuna in that. So, I never liked when they did those sumo matches. I don't know. Especially the one at WrestleMania with Big Show. But we all knew Big Show. Big Show loses every WrestleMania match. He's Tito Santana. In any event, our next match is Crush versus Repo Man or Demolition facing each other.
Chaka Bra.
Kona Crush,
Demolition,
which I've said this before. If you can keep them both in the WWE, why break them up? And why? Because you notice at this point the tag team division is really now starting to kind of deplete.
Yeah.
The numbers are kind of going down. It doesn't get really bad until 1994. But I mean, you still had these two guys on your roster. Why not have kept them together? I don't understand.
I don't know.
And then this didn't. This match was garbage. I mean, the finishing move I didn't like. I mean, the squeeze, the vice squeeze on the head.
Oh, his finisher was trash.
It was. He's a power guy. He should be doing a
Yeah.
deadlift slam or power slam,
Something.
something. Power bomb, anything. Full Nelson
Hmm.
even might have been pulled off. And the Repo Man gimmick was just garbage. I mean, I still can't believe to this day that they actually put him in a feud with Randy Savage for a minute.
Yeah, no.
So I mean, this was a 5-minute, 41-second match. Crush's pay-per-view debut as Kona Crush. I mean, he came off good. He was looking strong for about a year until they killed him by turning him bad, and it just went downhill from there. Unfortunately for him, but again, just if they're both in the WWE still, why not just keep them together as Demolition? But I don't know. From there, now we go to our second pay-per-view where the WWE title defense is the mid-card match. Only on this pay-per-view I can understand it because of where they are and what the main event was. WrestleMania 8, I'd put Ego Man down, and I would have put Savage and Flair above it.
It's understandable in this situation.
But in this case, I understand why. It was Randy Savage defending the WWE Championship against the Ultimate Warrior. Not as good as the first, but just as good. I mean, it wasn't in comparison to the career-ending match, but we still did get a good match here. You didn't know which corner Mr. Perfect or Ric Flair were going to be in, and we've said this before. Why were they not on the card wrestling?
Flair should have been wrestling. This is a disgrace.
He should have been wrestling one of them.
He should have been there. I mean, the lead-in was fine. We know what because they were friends, and then they were friends again, and they were also friends in real life. They had a great amount of respect for each other, and so then you're wondering who sold out. But I knew even as a kid, I knew nobody sold out. I knew that was just Flair and Perfect playing games,
just playing the shenanigans.
So yeah, so I knew nobody sold out. They tried to set it up in that tag match with the Nasty Boys. That Perfect came out. Perfect and Rude, not Rude. Perfect and Flair came out. Yeah,
we wish Drew was still there.
Perfect and Flair came out and they beat up. Did they beat up Warrior or they beat up? They beat up Warrior.
They beat up both of them.
But at first they beat up Warrior. And
yeah, Warrior. They did
cost them the match. But I knew nothing. Like I said, none of them sold out, and I felt like having Flair and Perfect interfering in that match, it took away from the match. It's a good match, but it just took away from the match.
Definitely. Now, there's no report that Flair was injured and couldn't compete that night. So, with that being said, again, why would it would have made more sense for him to face Savage again in a rematch? Or it would have been also nice to see Flair versus the Warrior.
I heard the story I heard was that Ultimate Warrior dropped Flair on his head and he gave him equilibrium problems. But I don't know when that happened because I've also heard that happened in the fall right before he faced Bret Hart, which is
I thought it was right before Survivor Series.
But then I also heard that he was having equilibrium problems the whole summer. I don't know what the truth is. But either way, I mean, you're not having this is the thing that so why is Flair out there in his wrestling trunks?
That's what I wanted to know. If he wasn't wrestling, if he wasn't supposed to be on the card, why isn't he just in a suit?
Why isn't he just in a suit?
Yeah, he's in his robe and everything. Exactly.
Did Flair ever wear a suit in WWE?
No. Well, not that I ever saw. I always saw him come out
with the robe.
Well, he wore the suit. Well, obviously in Evolution later on, but
no. But I'm talking about that night, that his first run, and he was known for that.
Not like the WCW. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Vince. That's Vince doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Because did you notice Flair's character? I don't want to get too sidetracked, but Flair's character kind of changes. He's still a heel and a great heel.
Yes.
But he's not really the limousine riding, jet flying. Like he wasn't really that, and he was in WWF, right? I don't think.
Now here's another question that because it slipped my mind. Because again, 30 years ago, did he ever use that line there?
No.
Like he constantly did in WCW. Now, again, he used it later on in Evolution when he came back.
Right, when he came back.
He always used it then with Triple H and them. But did he ever use it?
Lights.
Did he ever use it in the 2 years he was there?
I could be wrong. And if someone can find the promo, just put it in the comment section, put a link. But I don't remember him.
Because I'd like to see it because I really cannot remember him ever using his catchphrase. And honestly, like you said, never wearing a suit.
No, he wasn't. Yeah. It was all about him being the best wrestler, but he wasn't a playboy anymore. like he was
No.
in NWA, and then later on when he came back. But whatever.
His run here could have been so much better, and I really wish Vince would have reconsidered how he treated Savage and Flair going forward after '93. Because like we said in the Flair episode, he told him he'd re-sign him, but he'd be a mid-carder at that. Which
Right.
you got to look at the man's caliber and go,
Yeah, but
don't you understand that this guy can help your younger stars look
he
better?
was still at the top of his game, even though he was in his
Yes.
40s.
But
He
Vince
was
was having his youth move.
he was a great heel.
Yeah, I don't understand why
I
Vince
don't
wouldn't have
know.
still used him. Even if you don't put the belt on him, let him work with the younger talent, make him look better. And then you still got a guy like Randy Savage on there. Imagine what you could have did with guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels with him.
Those guys, I mean, they went on to have a whole second career and second run when they go back.
And it worked for them because Savage had a great run in WCW.
Right, yeah. So
Ric Flair still did his Ric Flair thing. I just don't understand Vince's thinking on that. But
I don't know, man.
that's always been Vince, and still to this day, we don't know what he's thinking now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. But anyway, this was a 28-minute match, and Ultimate Warrior wins by countout. Savage did blow out his knee again in this match. He was having knee problems throughout 1992. But with Flair and Perfect getting involved in this match, it really took away from the two of them.
It did.
And we never see this match again.
No, Warrior was over, man.
Oh, big
When
time.
Warrior comes out in Wembley Stadium, he was over.
I just didn't like his wrestling attire
I didn't
with
mind.
the transparent.
Oh, the slang, yeah.
I did not.
Yeah.
That's not Ultimate
You know what?
Warrior.
Okay, yeah. I thought you meant like that jacket he had on.
Oh no.
Badass.
The jacket was awesome. I love the
Yeah.
artwork.
He always
on it.
had those nice jackets.
Yeah, I'm talking about those strap outfits that he was wearing. I mean, that's not him.
Do you know what I didn't understand? Like at that point, Warrior was big again. Because remember when he first comes in '90, he comes back in '92. He was much smaller.
Oh yeah.
But at that point, and I saw a documentary with the Warrior. He said that once he realized, like, hey, I'm way too small now, he kicked up his training, and so he was already jacked again. So why did he have that sling where it had like fake
abs,
fake muscles and stuff?
Yeah, I
didn't like it. It was like.
It was funny that because you mentioned Warrior being skinny again. That's where the rumors had come when we were in school that was another Warrior, the original died.
Because he had the short hair.
Mm-hmm. And he was smaller.
I mean, it didn't look like him.
And it didn't look like him at first in the face because he looked like he dropped about 15, 20 pounds.
Yeah. And
like you said, he cut his hair. That's where the rumor came in. Oh, well, that's not the real journal.
They died. The real Warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Then I guess, they hug or whatever. And I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, that's the mutual respect between them.
Mutual respect between them. And in real life, too. But, all in all, disappointing for a Warrior versus Macho Man rematch. It's kind of a little disappointing because of the outside stuff. I
can understand the outcome with not having a legitimate pin because they both save face. Savage keeps the title. Warrior doesn't lose his momentum. Yeah, I get doing that, but not with the interference.
Yeah, but then Savage loses the title to Flair, like, right after that.
And on a house show.
Of
all places.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And then Bret beats Flair on a house show.
I don't know. It starts to get towards the end of 92. It starts to get chaotic.
Yeah, well, that's because by this point, you look at your roster that you had into the Royal Rumble. You go back and look at the roster that you have there and the roster that you had a year later. There's only 5 guys that made that pay-per-view and 93's pay-per-view.
Yeah.
5. And then 3 of those were gone shortly after that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was totally chaotic.
Yeah.
Vince doesn't even know what he's doing because, to be quite honest, Flair and Bret for the title, maybe that should have been left for Survivor Series because you just had 2 straight title changes on house shows that you could have made buco bucks off of, man. And it didn't make sense to me why he took the title off of Savage so fast. Because it wasn't even a year; it was a few months that he had this belt. He won it in April, loses in October. Not even September.
I think it was September.
Because a month later, then Flair loses it to Bret.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just didn't make any sense. But then again, Vince McMahon. So now, going past that match, now we go to the Undertaker versus Kamala, a feud that to me made no sense. This is a squash year for the Undertaker.
This is the return of Kamala too, right?
Yes.
Because how long? Kamala was gone for a while.
6 years, I believe. 6 years.
He was only in WWF for a little while, right?
Yeah, he was a house show guy, but he did feud with Hogan.
Right, briefly. Briefly.
But I did remember him when he returned, and I liked the character.
Harvey Wimpleman is his manager, right?
Yeah,
Off
along with
topic.
Kimchi.
Off topic. There's a very rare Kamala WWE action figure from Hasbro. Remember those Hasbro figures?
Hmm.
There's a very rare figure. There's like two variations of it, and one of them is worth a ton of money. A Kamala figure. Believe if you can imagine that. So for you Kamala fans.
Yeah, not Vice President Kamala. We're talking wrestling Kamala.
The Ugandan giant, right?
Well, same thing.
But I think he's from somewhere in the United States. I don't know.
Yeah, but they put him, they labeled him from there. But I mean, I did like his look. You know, he
No,
was
he had a
pretty,
cool
he was
look.
pretty
He
good.
did have a cool look.
I love doing the belly and stuff. But
Yeah.
it really they made he was supposed to come off as this superior, giant, and by the time the Undertaker was done with him, he was like a little baby.
Yeah, but he does that to other people too. So it's Undertaker, man.
I know that.
I did like his entrance though. Undertaker, his entrance with that that hearse.
The hearse, yes.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
He had some pretty good entrances over here, especially WrestleMania 9 too, when he came out with the vulture.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, but the hearse here was cool.
Mm-hmm.
The match was 3 minutes 27 seconds, and the Undertaker beats Kamala. Of course, he's going to beat him. The culmination of that match, I believe, was at Survivor Series. That was the casket match, if I'm not mistaken. When they finally did that, when they ended that feud, thank God.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't see the reason for it, but I really don't think they knew what to do with the Undertaker, considering all the storylines that they had for him were going away.
Yeah.
Because after WrestleMania, it was supposed to be Sid Justice, and so yeah, it was just all like you said. 92 was towards the end was just totally chaotic.
Yeah.
So that led us to a dark match that I won't get into. Now we're on to the main event for the Intercontinental Championship. Bret the Hitman Hart versus the British Bulldog, who pretty much once again after the Survivor Series, he just came out of nowhere because he was at the Rumble, and then you just don't really see him again for a while, and all of a sudden he pops up as being the number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship. And this took its toll on Bulldog leading up to this, a couple of days prior to this. I'm not going to get into the details of everything that led up to it, but let's just say that Bret did have to carry part of the match for the Bulldog. Yeah. It was still a good match.
No, it was a great match. It's probably one of the best IC titles.
It's probably one of the best matches that they've had. One of their other ones could rival it. I believe it was In Your House '95.
That's my favorite one. That's my favorite one. Yep.
I think that one could supersede this one. But this was a great match. 25 minutes, 40 seconds. Bret kind of came like WrestleMania 8. He came off as the heel in this one.
Well, look where he was.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at WrestleMania 8 when he was fighting Roddy Piper, when he was coming out, he really wasn't shaking the hands of the fans. He was kind of coming off as the heel. I don't think he was trying to portray the heel there, but in Wembley Stadium. But unfortunately, with the fans, they had no option.
Yeah. Lennox Lewis brought him out, which was cool. Famous, one of the best champions of all time. So, and he's from England, so he walked him out to the ring. That was pretty cool.
And then they also mentioned that he was, Bulldog was the winner of the Royal Albert Hall, which was the year prior. So, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into the details of why Bulldog wasn't 100% on his game. Even if he was at 60%, he still pulled it out. Bret did a tremendous job. British Bulldog becomes the Intercontinental Champion. Bulldog main event of the pay-per-view, which is astronomical because you really wouldn't see that till a few years from now. So this definitely should have showed Vince that Bulldog could have been a main eventer and a champion, but too many demons in the closet.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So this was Bret passed the torch to Bulldog. Bret was going on to bigger and better things. Bulldog, unfortunately,
goes on to get fired.
3 months he held the title before Shawn Michaels took it.
Well,
and at Saturday Night Main Event, and the way he won it was bogus. And when we eventually do our Saturday Night Main Event episodes, if this is one of them, I'm gonna have a field day with this.
But at least Bulldog was in good company because he got fired with the Warrior. It was the two of them that got fired together. So
was it the same day? Was it?
I think it was. No, it was the same day for the same reason.
Yeah, well, I knew Warriors, but oh my lord.
Yeah. So
well, it worked for Bulldog. He went on and had a thing with the Shockmaster and Harlem Heat and Sid. So it's all good for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that feud was good. It was cool with the family involved. His sister was there, and everything. Yeah, but great main event. Very good pay-per-view.
Yes.
it's a good
Wasn't
SummerSlam, solid.
wasn't as I'd say 91 had topped that a little bit, so it didn't exceed 91, but 92 was better, definitely better than the one coming up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
I
don't
enjoy
think
it.
we're gonna have a good SummerSlam for a while right now. Well, 94, I take that back. 94, great main event,
Yeah,
not the main event, but the cage match.
right,
What I'm
right,
talking
right.
about.
Yeah. So, all right, well, that's SummerSlam 92. We'll be doing SummerSlam 93. Let us know what you think about this SummerSlam. Like, comment, share, subscribe, please, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.